I've been trying to meditate for about 20 years. And I think, I think until I read your materials, first of all, about a year ago, I hadn't really focused on what I was doing. I have been trying to practice the way that you outline in your books and in your tapes. I find my mind just races all the time. I have real difficulty stilling it.
What is the nature of the thoughts that are racing around in your mind?
They can be almost anything from thoughts about work to thoughts about home or travel, or as soon as I sit down to quiet my mind, they appear.
It's a logical thing, isn't it? Because you've trained your mechanism to be very responsive. And even as you're listening to Abraham tapes or other tapes, you get so that you're very good at translating vibration. And so you're picking up thoughts even beyond thoughts that are your own. And so don't be hard on yourself about that. It's a natural thing. You've trained your mechanism to think and to respond to thought. And so all of a sudden to ask it to be absolutely quiet is asking something that is a little bit out of the ordinary from what you've trained it. So give yourself a break on that. Esther had an advantage in her first sitting to meditate, because not having done it before and not having been very much aware of energy, her vibration had a ways to shift. And in her first sitting of quieting her mind, it shifted significantly enough that she felt amazing difference. And so she did not wonder that something had happened. She knew that it had. Where many of you who have found other paths that have caused you to raise your vibration, when you sit to meditate, there's not as big of span between where you are and where you're wanting to be, and so the shift is not so noticeable. Because sometimes you're just in a high-flying, good-feeling, vibrational place, and even as your inner being is joining you, it's joining you on the delicious details of that which you are about. Here is the way we would use meditation from your point of view. In other words, we're speaking this expressly to you. We would acknowledge that my vibration is raised consistently. In other words, I am in vibrational alignment with my source a good deal of the time. And we would sit to meditate any time that we were wanting to make sure that that's where we are. In other words, if something happens and you can feel that you're out of alignment, that's a good time for you to sit to meditate, because if you go from a place of not feeling very well aligned, maybe a little aggravated or angry about something, and you manage to quiet your mind to the point that you feel real relief, you'll feel that energy shift and you'll know that you have achieved that. The most significant thing that we can feel from you is that you are not far out of alignment any of the time. And that's the reason that what you're reaching for doesn't feel like a very big reach.
I don't feel that I'm in contact with my inner being, though.
Well, that's another thing altogether. Sometimes physical friends will sit with the idea of meditating, and what they really mean is, I'm wanting to make contact with broader perspective, or I'm wanting to hear something. And we want you to see meditation and being in that kind of a receiving mode as a slightly different intention. In other words, from our perspective, the best use of meditation is to quiet one's mind, meaning to stop any thought, which would automatically stop any resistant thought, which would allow your vibration to raise. The state of a quieted mind is the state of no thought. It's a state of quiet vibration. It's a state of allowing the pure energy that is source energy to flow to you and through you. Now, a workshop where you are intending to make something happen, or where you are using yourself as the vortex, where you focus thought energy for the purpose of making some change in physical experience, that's what you do once you are aligned with source energy, and then you are identifying thought that is important to you. That's what this virtual reality will do. So you are wide open to source energy, focused upon something that you want, flowing your perspective and all of that energy toward what you want. That is an intoxicating, invigorating moment, that moment of passionate flowing. But we see them as two different functions, and we think part of the reason that people get tripped up in meditation is because they don't know which one of those that they are intending to do here today. So we would sit every day and quiet our mind, just to show ourselves that we can release resistance any time that we are wanting. And that is a very good use of meditation, to release resistance. And then when you are wanting to have a chat with your inner being, when you have something that is important to you to know, then set aside time, and the environment could be very much like the environment for meditation. But now you sit, and during the time before, it might be an hour before, or it might even be a day before, or it might even be a week before, you have been conjuring or pondering what it is you're wanting to talk about, so that you have finely tuned the question that you are asking. And then you sit with that question very clearly on your mind, expecting fully to receive information about that subject that you have clearly identified. And then sit and listen.
Right.
You see. Anyone can do it. Truly, because every time you ask, it is given. Some would say, well, Abraham, you're talking about being in the receiving mode, so when I sit in that meditation and I quiet my mind, am I not then in the receiving mode? And we say yes, but when you have sat to quiet your mind and you're receiving thought, the tendency is to not listen. In other words, the motivation is to quiet your mind. Esther was encouraged to sit and meditate every day. This was before she met us in this format. And when her mind would wander, and it will, she was told, just release the thought and focus on your breathing. She and Jerry sat every day, and she quieted her mind. She would reach that detached state where she could not feel her toe from her nose. And then we would offer a block of thought to her. And she would breathe more to try to get rid of it. Because she had been told, when your mind wanders, and it will, and she couldn't tell whose mind was wandering in her head. In other words, the thoughts were coming, and so she would just breathe them right away. And so finally, when we realized that she was allowing movement, we spelled letters with her nose. That was how she finally realized that somebody was in there, you see.
Right.
We think you're trying too hard. We would just sit and relax, and we would say, everything is unfolding perfectly. You say, I've been trying to meditate for 20 years. And it's sort of like, I'm stuck in this place of it not happening the way I want it to. You are in alignment. Your source energy is aware of you. Blocks of thought are being offered to you. And it takes a little bit of time to begin receiving and to begin interpreting the blocks of thought. Just relax and be easy about it. Esther had said to Jerry, she thought everything like this was weird. One day, a woman said to Jerry, I can see your aura. And Jerry and Esther made it a point to never go anywhere near her ever again. If Esther had had any idea that she would be speaking for the dead, we're not dead, we're really not dead at all, but if she had had any idea, she would have made sure that this did not happen.
Right.
She did not want to be weird. She worried about what you thought. She did not want to get caught up in your problems. In other words, there were all kinds of things that little by little she realized were not problems, and little by little she released. And the biggest piece of resistance that was released from Esther came with the words, I'm willing. She finally realized that it felt good, and therefore it must be good. And it was in value to them, therefore it would likely be of value to others. And nothing so terribly weird had happened, and all right, I'm willing. And about then is when she began relaxing and really consciously recognizing. We think you're ready. We know your source energy is. It's just a matter of you defining what you want, how you want it to play out, what you want to do with it, and you get to choose every bit of that. In other words, there's no assertion here. In other words, there's no non-physical energy possessing your body and making you have thoughts you don't want to have. In other words, even those like us who are all-powerful cannot defy the laws of the universe. In other words, you cannot receive that which you are unwilling to receive.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes, indeed.
I have been noticing, obviously the creator of my own experience, that I have been chasing things around my body. One thing happens, another thing happens, maybe at different times of the year, or things are going on, and I want to get a handle on it. Either it's been something that I've invited in, like a body worker working on me and causing damage, or me doing it, I don't know how I'm doing it. I just need to get a handle on it a little bit better.
Well, it's easier to explain in a way that you can hear it why the second thing or the third thing or the fourth thing would come, because once you have a condition that is not pleasing you, it often gets an inordinate amount of your attention. And once it has your attention, then it's a bigger part of your vibration. And once it's a bigger part of your vibration, then you're using that as your temporary excuse not to allow the fullness of your well-being. And we would not spend too much time trying to go back and figure out how it got started. Instead, we'd just stop right where you are and say, for whatever reason, I'm finding reasons to disallow the fullness of my well-being, and I'm not wanting to do that anymore. I'm wanting to feel good. And so when you catch yourself complaining, or when you catch yourself worrying, or when you catch yourself scrutinizing or trying to figure it out, stop in the middle of it and say to yourself, well-being is the natural order of my body. And if I will just relax and allow well-being, eventually the well-being will take me over. In other words, that's what is natural. Mm-hmm. In your physical environment, it's not the easiest thing in the world to say, and really mean it at first, that the well-being will naturally take me over. Because you have so many people trying to convince you that there are diseases and illnesses and aging and declining and all kinds of things that are destined to take you over, and that if you don't fight against it, that they will. And that isn't true. The opposite of that is true. Well-being is the natural order of your body. And if you will let it will be well, you see. A lot of times people get very carried away in the justifying of where they stand. It's like, here I am, I'm broken a bit, and I'm not very happy being broken, but the reason that I'm broken is because of this and this and this. Well, that doesn't make it go away. That just holds you in the vibration longer, you see. Right. And so if you can make that jump from understanding that that is the reason that it is here, and then choosing other thoughts, then it's a good jump. But sometimes it can be the long way around it. Mm-hmm. A belief is just a thought that you keep thinking. And sometimes you've picked up thoughts that seem very reasonable because people around you were thinking them and they seemed like reasonable people. And so you've adopted thoughts that are not wholly in keeping with your absolute well-being. And a releasing of those little by little by little makes you feel freer, it makes you feel lighter, it makes you feel better. But it's not the easiest thing to all of a sudden start changing the way you think about your body because you've been thinking it for quite a long time. Right. It does take some conscientious, deliberate determination to think different thoughts. We would begin making our statement of desire, understanding that initially, at least, we are making it from our place of not having it. So we're in step 1, but we're not in step 3. In other words, we're offering our statement of desire, and we're offering it for our own benefit. As you make a strong statement of desire, and you say, I'm making this statement of desire, then later on, when you do get into a place of allowing it, and you begin to see some evidence of it coming to you, you can make the correlation between what you ask for and what you are now letting in that is very beneficial. It's beneficial because it makes you feel the empowerment that really is yours. And so we would concentrate only for a little bit on asking the question. And then we would let all of our work be upon getting to the place of letting it in, which really, for the most part, means getting your mind as much as you can off of that subject altogether. Right. And keeping your ear to the ground, so to speak, for negative emotion. When you really want something, and there is not much that you want more than physical well-being, especially if you are not living it as fully as you want, and you are actively choosing a thought that works against it, you're going to feel aggravation. Mm-hmm. You're going to feel evidence that you are not in alignment with your own desire. And so by keeping an ear to the ground for the way you feel, and when you feel some irritation or some negative emotion, maybe even anger or blame or guilt wafting through you, stop and laugh about it and say, I'm doing that thing I do that's not allowing the well-being in. Because the well-being would be here if I didn't have this habit of doing that thing. And here I am. This negative emotion is helping me to recognize that I'm catching myself right in the act of doing that thing I do. Sometimes Esther will say, but it's true. Right. In other words, yes, it's negative, and yes, I feel rotten while I'm thinking about it, but it's true, so therefore don't I get a free pass? Shouldn't I be able to think about this thing that makes me feel bad? Right. Because it is true after all, and we say there are all kinds of things that are true that you do not want to experience in your experience. And so you're wanting to pay attention to the way you feel and just softly just keep reaching for something that feels better. You will easily come into alignment. This alignment, whether we're talking about the physical alignment of your body or vibrational alignment or the alignment of your life, all of this alignment is a balancing act, so to speak. In other words, you don't see the wire walker on the wire just standing perfectly rigid. He's moving constantly. Even if you cannot see it, the muscles in his body are moving. In other words, he is maintaining his balance. And you get better and better at that. Sometimes your balance is off enough that it's very evident that your balance is off. And other times you're so close in balance that anybody else watching would not recognize it. And so don't ask yourself ever to be in a place of perfect balance on all things.